The Divisional Cup Opens are officially over. It was a tournament of huge performances, crazy comebacks, and of course, big duos struggling, the most notable example of which being MrSavage and Velo. Now, after qualifying for 9 out of 9 consecutive Divisional Cups, the streak has officially come to an end. They did miss out on their first ever finals. It was a bit of a frustrating performance for them. They finished in 82nd place. I mean, it's not terrible, but they will be quite annoyed. The vibes did seem pretty low throughout. They did seem a little bit down. It's a shame because Savage actually would have played these finals in London at the Mongrel event had he qualified, which I feel like would have been really good for their vibes. It would have been something that maybe would have seen a bit of an upturn, but unfortunately that won't be the case. There was quite a lot of Velo solo clutching towards the end, and that kind of represented their main issue. They just could not stick together as a duo. It felt like a lot of the time they were getting separated during the end game, or one of them was having to solo clutch, or they were just making solo plays that kind of didn't really work. There was a lack of synergy, a lack of cohesive, united gameplay that we do tend to expect from the very top teams on the region. But listen, I don't think one player was any worse than the other. I don't really subscribe to the narrative that either player is way better than the other. That's evidence from the Osirion stats as well. You can see here that they both had virtually the same amount of eliminations. Maybe Velo's slightly better overall, but you know, there's not really a lot in it. Look, I know the vibes weren't great, but I don't think this is that deep. This is literally the first time they've missed out on the Div Cup finals. Of course, they missed out on EWC heats by only 2 points a few days ago, so that did kind of set the tone for their whole week. I do feel like with FNCS a while away still, with the big summer break before then, they've got plenty of time to reset. This is honestly the moment where you want to be struggling because there's so much time to lock in, to fix up your mistakes, and if MrSavage and Velo can do that, then I do believe they still have a lot of potential. I don't believe they should be splitting. Now listen, I'll discuss all the other big names that missed out on finals, including one LAN winning duo in just a moment. But first, let's discuss some of the teams that did do well. We had Shxrk T3eny pull off an insane comeback on day 2. After the first day of play, they were in 494th place with only 108 points. It was pretty much disastrous, and they somehow managed to come back from that. They sealed qualification with a 27 elimination win in their final match, and it wasn't like they were just fighting average players. I mean, take a look at this list of the players they killed. There's some genuinely solid names on here. Listen, questions do need to be asked about how things went so wrong on day 1. It did look like they were just keying a lot, but that's also kind of their playstyle, and it's not something that we haven't seen before. They do tend to just like fighting, like W keying in these kind of opens events, so I don't think this is anything to be concerned about. If anything, we should be really impressed with the way that they came back, the way they showed resilience, and that 27 elimination win was a thing of beauty. Now into the top 10, we had the week 1 champions of Focus and Thomas HD coming in first place. As you can see, they absolutely dominated pretty much every statistic. Focus had the most eliminations, the most damage, the best damage ratio. He was absolutely dominant, and Thomas the second best damage ratio, the most assists. These guys were just playing on a completely different level, and if they can take that momentum with them into the finals, then they could be the favourites to win. Moving down, we had Hottie and Fxrk in second place. It looks like these guys may have Wonky Land uncontested in finals, which is a bit of a rarity, so we'll have to see how they get on. We had the new duo of Cheatin and Geras in third place, another team that may also be uncon in finals. Dom and Demish in fourth. I'll discuss them in way more detail in just a moment. We had Skyjump and Karama in 5th place, Chap and Flixie in 6th, who will be looking to better their 25th place from last week, Podesai and Sato in 7th, Vidil and Dew in 8th. Now this is a pretty interesting one because they have now officially split. It looks like Reason and Vidil will be a new team, and they will be going to Middle East to play FNCS, so Dew is currently looking for a new teammate. We had Swizzy and Pixie in 9th. Swizzy had the second most damage and the second most eliminations, so really solid stuff from him. And rounding out the leaderboard, we had King, Cringe and Twy in 10th. And here's some of the other big names that did qualify. You'll be able to see all of them on the map when I do my predictions in just a moment. But before then, let's take a look at some of the duos that did struggle. We had Volko and Reason in 59th place, and we know this isn't actually going to be a real team. I do believe that Cringe and Volko will probably still play together, but neither of them were able to qualify. Cringe did play with Noah and didn't have much success either. We had Shxrk and Repairs not make it through. Neither did Marius and Wox, so neither of the teams that have been fighting it out over at Chop Shop will be able to continue that this week. We had Vico and Malibuka miss out, and this is the other huge duo not to be in finals. And to give you an idea of how seismic this is, they have made every single Div Cup finals of the whole chapter up until this point. This is the first ever finals they've not played together as a duo. It's the first time Vico has missed missed out since Chapter 6 Season 4, so this is a pretty big deal. I definitely think we can chalk this off as a one-off week. I mean, 65th is also pretty close, so nothing to be concerned about, no real worries here, but Vico and Malabuka will probably be a bit frustrated, especially since, as you're about to see, it has left a bit of a power vacuum over at Lifty Lodge. Khan and Faded missed out, again that's going to be very important later on for the map. We had Murstache and Panzer not make it, not really too surprised about that. I do still have my reservations about the duo, but I do still also hope that they prove me wrong because I like both of those players and I'd love to see them doing well together. Tayson and Chicho appears to be a new duo. It seems that Trulex is now playing with Ziandi, but neither of those teams were able to qualify. We also had Pix and Franek miss out, as did Fredoxy and iDrop, and Vanya and the Frizzy, a team that have been really struggling as of late. I don't know what has happened to Vanya. He seems like a completely different player from the one that we saw in Chapter 6, the person that got third, first and third in the FNCSs and then second at Globals. It has honestly been a bit of a fall off, and I would like to see Vanya get back to his best, but at the moment it's not looking like that's going to happen. Finally, we had Mongrel and Haijo in 432nd place. Pretty low, not really what we'd expect from them. I don't think they're a top 50 duo. I don't think they're a team that should be making every Div Cup finals, but I mean, you've got to do a bit better than that in my opinion. But again, if the vibes are there, if they're having fun, and if they are developing, then I do think they should still play together. Before I get into my predictions, here's a list of some of the new duos that we saw during this event. The Dan Depuzo and Werex split is officially real. Dan Depuzo is now with Azatgo and Werex is with Finchik. We had Darkos and Minori split. Minori is now with Tiddy, although it does seem like that won't last. Minori did tweet stating that he is still looking for options. It's a similar thing with Hyper and Strapped. Hyper seemingly not playing with Eula anymore, which is interesting considering they won a Div Cup Opens in week 1, so they were looking good, but seemingly they don't want to play together anymore. It does look like Hyper won't be sticking with Strapped either. He is still looking for new options. Now look, I'll get into how the European teams did on NA Central in just a moment, but firstly, let's do the predictions for Saturday's finals. Now, as per usual, this map could massively evolve between now and Saturday evening, so my final 100% locks predictions will be out over on my Twitter at Spudzon, so go and follow me over there. But for now, here is my list. The first thing to note though before that is that there is a huge power vacuum at the north of the map, as I mentioned earlier, with no Vico and Malabuka at Lifty Lodge. That whole area is looking so congested, and that could affect the reigning champions of Twek and Gonzo. They won last week, but they're now contested, so it's going to be hard to put them in the top 10. Here are the 10 teams that I do actually believe could do well. In 10th place, I've gone for the new duo of Cheatin and Giras. They're uncontested at that Southwest split, and if they can keep it to themselves, then I do believe they have the potential to do well. We haven't seen too much from them, so it's a little bit of a punt, but I do like what I've seen from them so far. In 9th place, I've gone for Shxrk T3eny. Yes, I know they're contested, but realistically, they should be winning that spawn fight more than they lose, and, you know, they make their games count when they get off spawn. They're good in the end games. I do believe they can get enough points on the board to secure a top 10 finish. In 8th place, I've gone for Swizzy and Pixie. Again, they're contested, but their POI is huge, so I don't really think that's much of an excuse. They'll get plenty of loot. They can split if they need to. They should be performing well. I've put Chap and Flixie in 7th. They came 25th last week, but they were contested by Ping and Yapko. If they can genuinely stay uncon this week, then they should be doing well, and if they don't get into the top 10, serious questions will need to be asked. In 6th, I've gone for Yanis and Rax, the team that came third last week. That was whilst they had the split south of Chop Shop completely uncon. Now they have the actual POI uncontested, so maybe their performance could improve. I do just think there's some strong teams in this lobby, but they've shown consistency. They've shown that they are a good duo, not only this season, but way before. Back in Chapter 6 Season 4, they really impressed me, and then of course they split because Rax chose to play with Seti, which did turn out to be a mistake. Listen, I like this duo. I think they're very bright, and they should get a good finish. In 5th place, I've chosen Chino and Pablo Wingu. They haven't really been making the best out of Uncon Sinister Strip in recent weeks. They only managed at 10th place last time out, but they do have a lot of quality, and I feel like they should be finishing higher, so I've put them in 5th place. In 4th, I've gone for Cami and Hari. This is exactly where they finished last week from their tunnel split. Very unassuming, but it is a good area of the map, and I'm not necessarily sure they'll win, but they have shown some good consistency so far, so I think 4th is pretty fair. In 3rd place, I've gone for Sky and Scroll. Now, they have had a a bit of a bad start to the season. Last week was a mixed bag. They started the tournament pretty weak. They've been struggling to make their end games count, struggling to get deep into matches. They did fix that though, because in games 4 and 5, they managed back-to-back victory royales. That was the sky and scroll that we know and love, that we expect to see, and maybe they have turned it around. I do think third is fair. I do think there's two duos that may do slightly better than them, but I would like to see them challenging for the win. In second place, I've gone for Focus and Thomas HD, and this was really tough. I was so close to putting them in first, but there is one duo that I do want to give a mention to later on. Listen, they came 12th last week, but they of course took the win in week 1. We've seen a lot of good stuff from them this season so far. I like their POI of Heatwave Harbour. I know you can get lurked on there. I know there'll be teams around them, but they will have Raz and Cool. They are still Focused and Thomas HD. They're great players, and I believe they'll adapt. I believe they'll do well. Second is where I've got them. The team that I've put in first is one that have been contested in the past 2 Divisional Cups, so we haven't been able to see them at their best. We haven't seen their true potential yet this season. There's not a lot of data. Maybe this is a bit of a punt, but I'm going for it anyway. I believe that Dharm and Dimash will win this Divisional Cup. With Khan and Faded Pigeon failing to make it into the top 50, they finally have Sunken Shores completely to themselves. This is a big opportunity now to show what they're made of. I actually really like their POI, and I do believe that if you can get it on Con, you should be putting in a big performance. I think this is a team that will go slightly under the radar because they've had 2 quiet weeks, but don't rule them out. Don't go quiet on them. Dharm and Dimash are my pick to win. Now moving over to NA Central, we had 4 European duos qualify for finals. They were Pablo, Wingu and Kiro, Vico and Skrull, Velo and Zynox, and King, Cringe and Truly. A lot of the names that usually do play well on high ping, so fair play to all of them. We also have the news that Virgo has signed for Gentlemates. I wanted to include that. Gentlemates going back into the NA market, which is very interesting to see. Of course, some people on their European roster have kind of struggled this year, so it does make sense as to why they're making signings. Subscribe to stay up to date with European Fortnite news. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.